Hello, I'm Andrew. Welcome. We are here with Big Y Fly Company talking about sink tip lines, full sink lines, trying to figure out when you might need a sink tip versus a full sink line versus maybe even a floating line. There's a ton of these lines out there, and I just want to help you make a good decision so you can get out on the water and catch a bunch of fish. So we could start with full sinking lines. These are going to have, these ones in particular have just a uniform sink, meaning the 50 feet back from the tip is going to sink about the same rate as the line at the tip. The most popular one we have is an intermediate line. This only sinks about 2 inches per second, and this is great for lake fishing, and that's generally what full sink lines are best for, is lake fishing. And the reason why this intermediate line at about 2 inches per second is so great is because, well, first, nothing happens very quickly in a lake. So your fly sinking, not going to happen very quickly. Fish coming after your fly, not happening very quickly, and your fly moving, don't happen very quickly. So if the fish are sitting at 4 feet deep or 6 feet deep, you just give it more time. You let that fly sink, but it will stay in the zone there. If you were to fish a type 8 line that's just dropping like a rock, and those fish are at 6 feet, well, you got 3 seconds when that fly is in the zone to hook those fish before it just drops right through them. You can control the depth if they go out, say those fish just drop off to 14 feet deep real quick. Well, strip more line off, let it sink more. It'll eventually get there. The reason you would want, say, a type 5 is when those fish are chilling at 12 feet, 20 feet, something like that, where you know you're not going to need to fish in that top, say, 10, 12 feet of water. You're down on the bottom. That's a great line. There's brookies in the lake. They love hugging the bottom. So get that fly down there then. Can you use a full sink line in a river? You can. These things just don't cast all that easy. That's another thing about these full sink lines. They have a really small diameter. So basically just handling them is a little hard on a river. You might need to mend. Then it makes it a little bit harder. So they make sink tip lines that are going to do that a little bit better. And there's a couple types of sink tip lines. I've got 3 here that are, we'll just call them kind of a general sink tip line. Rio is a single hand spay with a intermediate and a hover tip on there. It's going to stay in the zone. These are great for if you're swinging soft tackles, little nymphs, stuff like that. Same with these 2 right here, Teeny Line and the InTouch Sink Tip series. These will handle a little bit bigger flies, but they are not going to handle something like this. Is a big trophy dungeon. If I'm throwing a trophy dungeon on a head, this is a 40-foot head on it, it's really just not going to look very pretty. It's not going to be as easy as throwing it on something, say, with a just 20-something foot head. These are in the 30-foot range. The shorter the head, the more weight and compact it's going to be, the easier it is to turn over a big fly. So if I'm fishing a little tiny, say, light bright zonker, I can throw any of this other stuff, but if I want to throw some big meat, I want a big line. This Titan here is the favorite line around the shop here. It's an intermediate sink 3, sink 5, meaning the running line, the very back end is an intermediate with a sink 3 section and a sink 5 tip, meaning it's going to get down at the end, but it's going to come up in a nice gradual way. So this is both a sink tip and a full sink line. You can fish this in a river, you can fish it in a lake. We fish it out on the Columbia, which is really both a river and a lake. It's our favorite bass line. It throws big flies and gets down to wherever you need to go. These other 2 are really compact heads that will turn over really big flies that are meant to just kind of like pick up once and throw it out there. Back casts, not so much. Your third option for getting a fly down when you need it is just adding this is a VersaLeader. Just throwing that on the end of a floating line, and that's great when you're fishing and you're out there and it's like, oh man, I want to hit that pool right there. I saw a big fish or I saw something crashing towards bait fish and I just want to swing a streamer through there, strip a big bugger really quick. You could throw that on the end of your floating fly line and it should work, and it's not going to be as great as casting a line built like a sink tip, but it is going to get the job done if you need to. So I always have one of these sitting in my backpack just in case. And well, I hope you get out on the water. I hope that helps you figure out which line you might need. And thanks for stopping by.